We are going to be using today the Kuretake ZIG clean color dot pen to make this card and envelopes and some lettering to go along with it. The markers are, again, double-ended, so they're double the pleasure, double the fun, double the creativity all in one. These are new metallic. They still have our water-based pigment ink that is light, fast, waterproof, fade-proof, and non-bleeding. So it's archival quality. And it has a fine end, and the fine end of the marker is always the side that has the little grooves around the end of the barrel. You can feel it. So I tease that if you're in the dark, you know which end of the marker you're writing with because you can feel those. Then it has a large bullet dot end, and depending on how much pressure you put on that large end, you can get a gradation of circle sizes. So it's a really fun pen. When they are, and then we're going to be using also the Kuretake handmade envelope template. It's a great template for creating your own envelopes. So we're going to be creating that also. And then we'll be doing some more fun lettering also along the way. So when you have a ZIG clean color dot pen, it is double-ended, and so if you're going to be using the large end, you would take the cap off and put it on, but if you put it on that way, it will just fall off. So you need to remember to turn them end to end, and then you can stack your caps and be able to use it that way. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to use a ZIG Aquilista, which is, and this is the extra fine point, it's such a fun point on it, and we are going to take our template and we're going to put it onto our paper so that we can use, you don't want to put it in the center of your paper because then you don't have some fun extra spaces that you can use. But we're going to use the Aquilista. Now we've already started this pen, and it is one that you want to make sure that you shake up. And when you initially start it, I always suggest that you point it upwards, and so that you can release the pressure. I release the pressure with the cap, and then you would want to start writing on a separate piece of paper. So we're going to use the Aquilista, and we're going to outline. Now I wanted to make the largest envelope. The nice part about this template is that it makes a variety of sizes. So, but we're going to be using the largest one, and so we're just going to go ahead and trace all around that. It's great. On here they've provided with rulers so that you know all of your spacing in metric and inches, so that you can do that. Then you're going to start, let's set that aside for a minute. Then we're going to start cutting them out. So I've already started cutting this out, so I'll set that aside. And we're going to use our Kuretake scissors, and we want to cut just inside of that white line. Because we were using dark paper, it was nice to be able to have it show up so nicely with that Aquilista. So we're going to continue on and just cut out the rest of our envelope. And these scissors are so sharp, they are wonderful. And if you actually turn them a little bit, it actually bevels the edge of the paper. So if you're using a paper that has a white core on it, then if you turn the scissors, it would bevel the edge, and then you can't see the white core as you're cutting it out. So they're great markers, pardon me, great scissors to be able to have. We always know that Kuretake markers are fabulous, but now we have the Kuretake scissors. All right, so this is the template, and what happens is you'll need a ruler, and you'll need a bone folder. You're going to take and you're going to line your ruler up with these two edges here, and then you're going to go ahead and just score that. What happens when you score it is it actually breaks down the fibers of the paper so that it makes a perfect folding line. We've all done that where we try and fold something in half and it ends up being really ragged, but when you score it or break the fibers down, then it will fold really, really nicely that way. So now what we're going to do is, you know how envelopes, a lot of times when you open them up, they have a really fun envelope liner? Well, with these markers, the Kuretake ZIG clean color dot, you can create your own envelope liner with them. So that's what we're going to do. In order to do that, we're going to take a circle punch, and we're just going to punch it out, and it's going to be our little stencil. And what will happen is we're going to take a marker, and what I like to do is, again, we're going to use the fine end, so we're stacking our caps, is I'm going to come and I'm going to put a dot at 1 or at midnight, and then at 6 and at 3 and at 9. Then we're going to divide those in half again, and then we're going to go ahead and divide in the center of those. And the reason that becomes nice is that you have this perfectly sized circle. You want to be careful as you remove that so that it dries a little bit and before you lay it back down again. So we're going to do that. So I've prepared some along the way here. So I've added some of our circles. The great part about doing them also is that you can do them and have half of it off. If everything's in the inside, it makes it so that it isn't as pleasing to the eye. So we would do one there and there, and then we're going to continue on, and then we're just going to dot in between. So you can see how it creates perfect unity to each of the markers that you're doing. So the Kuretake ZIG clean color metallic comes in 4 colors. So we've been using the silver. So, and then there's the red. So we're going to stack our caps again, end to end. And we're going to, and you can overlap them. It's fun to be able to overlap. So we're going to do 12 and 6 and 3 and 9, and then we do that in half again, and in half again, and then we come along and we go inside of each of those so that it creates a fun circle pattern that way. Then we have the gold, and so we're going to use the fine ends. We're going to stack our caps. We're going to place this down. So it's a great use for your punches that you can create your own stencils. So we've done them across from each other, and then we just start filling in between. Isn't that fun? And this marker, it has such a great shine to it. You can see the bit of a shine, and it shows up so nicely on the black paper. And this has a little bit larger tip size on it. It has a 1.0 millimeter, and then the same wonderful squishy large dot, which changes with the pressure. And then the last color in the 4-piece set is the green. And we're going to use the fine end again, which is the grooved end of the barrel. You can feel it with as you do it with your nail. And here again, we're going to put one of these about. So I do dot there, 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 and there, and then we're going to divide those in half. And then we're going to divide those in half again so that we have a great little, our circles. So it makes a really fun inside of an envelope liner so that when you open it up. So here I've come along and I've added some more. Now we want to be able to do some lettering. So let's move over to and do some lettering so that we can, we'll come back to putting that envelope together. So it's really interesting in that you can do a pressure with the dot pen also, so that you're going to get thicks and thins, almost like a modern calligraphy. And so in order to do that, we are going to open up to the large end of the Kuretake ZIG clean color dot. again, we're going to stack our caps back to back, and we're going to take and we're going to put pressure down, but then as we get to the bottom, we're going to lighten up. So see how your line gets thinner as you go around. So any upstroke is thin, any downstrokes are heavier. So we're going to come up and over, and so that it creates a wonderful variation of size of letters on the strokes that you're doing. So down, push up. When you come up, you're going to do light, and then down, and then up. And then our L, push down, over, and up. So again, it creates almost like a modern calligraphy. It's fun when you have two letters together or that are the same, that you can come and you can cross them together. So that's a really fun one. Now, again, because with the large bullet end on this, if you just push lightly and then push a little bit heavier, and then all the way, you can get what we like to call a gradation of sizes, so that you're going to get them into all the different sizes. Now you want to be careful because this marker puts out a lot of ink, and so you want to not put your hand through it so that it will get that way. So here we have done that gradation of dot sizes, and we've given you some examples of the different sizes of letters going from thicks to thins and such like that. So we can now use that technique of those letters to be able to finish our envelope, and then we'll move on to our card that's going to go in our envelope. So this is our finished one, and the sides come in and this comes up, and then we're going to use the wonderful ZIG memory system two-way glue. The nice part about this is when it comes out and it's blue, it is a permanent bond. But when it dries from blue to clear, it turns it into a repositionable or a post-it type note. So we're going to come along and we're going to add a line of two-way glue there and there. And then we're going to push that down so that it can be drying while we're working. But isn't that fun to be able to have that? So we'll let that dry for a second. And now we're going to move on to our Noel card. With this, these markers looking so nice on top of the black or a dark color, then it's great to be able to do it. So we're going to use the dot, the large dot end, and so we're going to continue on and just make a little bit more of a holly leaf design to it, and then come over. This is kind of just however it flows out. Then we'll flip over to the skinny end of the marker to make the vein down the center of our lines. Now, flourishes are so much fun to do with these markers because of the brilliance of them and because of the pressure that you can put with them. So we're going to start here, and we're going to come out, and we're going to do about a medium pressure. We're going to come around, and when we get to the end, we're going to push it down more so that it gives that lovely dot at the end of our flourish. So we can do the same going backwards. We can push hard, then we're going to come up light, and we're going to come around, and it's almost like Snyder. It's you can do S's, and then you can do backwards S's or C's, and we're going to add one here. So when we get to the end, we're just going to push down, and it connects that so lovely into that. So now we need to add one more of our holly leaves. And each one turns out a little bit different, but that's great. That's what art is all about, is having fun And see, it makes such wonderful dots on it. Now, the best part is that the large end of this red is just, all you need to do is just push down, make your 3 poinsettia or circles. And I like to do them in a little bit of a triangle so that they're a little bit closer into each other, and they make a great line that way. So now we're going to add our letter, our words. Here we're going to do our Noel. So we're going to come up, and any upstroke, remember, is light. When we come down, it's going to be harder. And we're going to come up and down and up, so that we're creating that variation in the size of the marker tip. And that's the beauty of this marker, in that you can do some fun lettering that way. So while that dries, so here we have our, so we did our 2 leaves, then we added our flourishes, then we added our dots, and then we added our lettering. So now on the around the outside edge, so we know this one is all nice and dry, we're going to open up to the fine end. So we've stacked our caps, and we're just going to come along and we're going to do just little tiny stitch marks. And I like to break it up every once in a while with some stitch marks going the other way. And it just ties in the edge of your card so nicely. And you can see all of the high brilliance of this marker, and it's wonderful. Again, these should be stored horizontally so that you have access to both ends of ink flowing freely to each end of the marker. And again, be careful not to put your hand in any of the wet ink, because they are nice and juicy and they have such brilliant, beautiful shine to them. So it's one that you can use for so many occasions. So we are going to continue on and finish our little, and sometimes I do 3, sometimes 4, but so there we have our finished card that way. So we're going to, since we know this one is dry, we'll take our card, we'll take our envelope, and then we would insert it. Oh, but wait, we need to address it. So now that we've done some fun lettering, let's go ahead and do some lettering on the outside of the envelope. And the way it's put together is that the flat end is the side that comes up. So here we've done our dots up here. This is going to fold up. But it is easier to write on your envelope before you have added any of your lettering. So again, we're going to do what's most important, and we're going to write the name using that dot pressure. And we're going to come down. When we come up, it's lighter. When we push down, we're pushing harder. And then now the great part is that, you know, that when you address envelopes, it's so fun to have a double-ended marker that is large end and small end, because the name is most important. But then we can flip over to the other side and we can add our address in there. So and it's going to, we're using the same type of lettering, and I'm actually pushing up and down a little bit on the marker so that we can get some fun variation to it. So this is a fun lettering style that you can use to be able to, on the bottom line, you can always pull your letters down a little bit more And then your zip code, you can just put and do great simple dots on the inside of the, in between them. Then you would put your envelope together, folding it on those score lines that we have done. And there we have our finished addressed envelope. We can put our card in and have that to be able to send as a gift out.